In the last video about Caspa, I told you all that its price was putting itself in a predicament in which it could fall up to 15%. And of course, over the last few days, that is exactly what happened. So I now want to give you a follow-up or an update to let you know what I'm now expecting and, well, what I'm doing as a result of it. So with that said, let's not waste any more time at all, and let's get straight into today's video. So looking at Caspa here, what we can see is that this pull to the downside is, again, exactly what happened. In the last video, I told you all to be extremely careful of what is happening with this double top, because if we were to lose this 0.0474 level, we are very likely going to continue back down to this key level of liquidity right around 0.04 to 0.0425. Okay. Now, the reason in which we were so able to assume that that is where the price was going is because, quite simply, we could take the distance from our MLS here to the top of this double top and then apply that to the bottom of that MLS. And again, that gives you your breakout target to the downside, which is where the price now sits. Of course, with that in mind, though, what we need to now start paying attention to is where its price is at now. We're not going to sit in glory just because we were able to call a pretty simple move correctly. Let's talk about what we expect now. Well, this has been a rather straight shot down. Okay, this has been a rather straight shot down, and we are starting to see that we're running into a little bit of support around this 0.04 to 0.041 level. Now, not only is it that psychological 0.04, 0.041 level, we are also running into support as a result of the liquidity provided by this ascending level of support. As you all can see, over the last year, Caspa's price has pretty consistently come back down to this ascending level of support. Whether it's this accumulation back here, or this possible accumulation that we're going to see here, it has been bouncing off of this channel and using it as its main source of growth over the last few, really the last year. Now, what I do want you to pay attention to, though, is the fact that when you are in an ascending channel of this nature, you will typically break to the downside at some given point. Yes, I do understand that TA is not everything. Yes, I do understand that the fundamental and ecosystemic perspective is equally as important as its price, but what you cannot ignore is the fact that there's a 95% chance within crypto that when you're in an ascending channel, at some point you're going to fall down out of it. And considering the fact that Caspa's price has now got so deep into this channel, considering the fact that we are seeing a little bit of a slowdown, right? These highs are not getting as high anymore, kind of what we saw with Bitcoin, right? On a yearly perspective, it is something that I would be rather concerned about, to say that as we are approaching this key level of support, although it is great that we are getting some liquidity here, we do run the risk that if that doesn't hold, we could break to the downside and start to visit back some of these lower price targets, the first one being at 0.03341, this previous point of support. Okay, so with that in mind, obviously I do have a bit of concern for what does happen for the price in the next couple days, maybe even the next couple weeks. Now, knowing that there is this risk, okay, well, what we need to do is we need to think, well, is that risk legitimate? Is this something that we can validate using indicators? Is it something that says, are the charts saying, we're probably going to crash here? Well, let's start on the 4-hour chart. The 4-hour chart is painting a pretty nice story. If you're a Solana holder, or sorry, not a Solana holder, a Caspa holder like myself, then yeah, I would say that we're looking pretty damn decent on the 4-hour charts. We've now got the accumulation of the oversold reading, the green reversal triangle, the bullish divergence, the bullish momentum dots, the blue peak finder forming in here, this beautiful layer of confluence as we are now establishing a lower low and working our way back to this little triangle of liquidity. When this happens, it tells us, listen, the bulls are getting ready, the bears are getting tired, this move to the downside slowing down. We're starting to get a little bit of this little wave of support, this little wave of pushing back in the upwards direction. And typically when that happens, you're going to get some type of backtest to the upside, right? Does that go back up to 0.047, possibly to retest this previous point of support? Maybe you try to establish it as resistance. I don't know, but it does say on the 4-hour charts that we should get some type of move back to the upside rather soon before we just crash straight down through this key level of support. So I am expecting some type of recovery over the next couple days. But what I will say is if we do look at the daily charts aren't giving us such a good image just yet, as though we are approaching this key level of support rather quickly. Our daily chart prime oscillator is just not giving us much print here. We're not seeing any of these oversold readings. We're not seeing the green reversal triangles, the blue peak finders, the bullish divergence. We're not really seeing any of that just yet. And although back here we didn't see that, right? We of course just kind of reversed here without any of our indicators. That's not a common thing. That's not something that usually happens. As you can see back here on these moves back to the upside, you will generally get this bullish divergence or these green reversal triangles, blue peak finders, bullish divergence, etc. Right? And so because of that, I am rather concerned to say that On the hourly time frames, they're going to have to be what gets us up there. We're going to have to see on the shorter time frames we start making some rather fast moves, because our daily charts are saying that there is room to the downside, that there absolutely could be more room to the downside before we do start to get some of these prints happening. And of course, because of that, that could mean a loss of support. So what I'm doing as a result of this, right? What does that mean? What am I doing as a result of this? Well, personally, I'm in a situation where I don't know. I don't know what it's going to do. The 4-hour chart tells me that it should get a bounce to the upside, and I think that is more likely. But with the daily chart prime oscillator still having room to the downside, I would say that a fall to the bottom of this key level of support is well within the realm of possibilities. But I personally am a supporter of Caspa. I think that it has the ecosystemic potential and the fundamental potential to get into that top 15, that top 20, especially as we do start to see the bull market roll around. And so as a result of that, I want to lower my dollar cost average. I want to get it as low as possible, and I'm not all that quite concerned what its price does in the short term, because the long term does seem pretty damn good. And so as a result of that, I am buying some Caspa now that we are in this little liquidity zone. The reason I'm buying in this little liquidity zone is because there is still a chance Caspa gets another bounce to the upside and starts to work its way back up to that 8.59 level. That is well within the realm of possibilities, and it's done it all year long, right? So obviously, if I could be buying here prior to this move happening, I would like to. And even if that doesn't happen and its price does fall to the downside, I am so confident in what Caspa has going on that I'd be willing to lower my dollar cost average to some of these lower levels if that is the situation that arises, because I don't think Caspa is just going to crash back down below 2 cents. I think it will find some support, and I would just lower my dollar cost average on the way. And as it does, of course, return to its former glory, then I could just start to, take those profits and do whatever. So personally, not all that concerned with what its price is doing. I do like this buying point. I do like to get in at these moments in which there is potential for another move to the upside. And so, of course, I am buying at this given point. Of course, if you do want to see when I do make the next video, when I do give the next update, make sure that you do subscribe to the channel down below. We've been calling Caspa rather good over the last few weeks, and I do believe our momentum will continue. Now, one thing, I do have a surgery tomorrow morning. They have to reconstruct my shoulder, so I probably won't have any videos going up tomorrow, but Friday, Saturday, I'll be back in the mix. So I hope to see you there in the next Caspa video. Of course, I hope you guys did enjoy, and I will see you next time. Peace out, everybody.